Hello.
Hi, Paula. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Hello from Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Amazing. I was just there.
Oh yeah, you were at TIFF.
Yep.
You're having a
Yeah.
moment, right? Like I feel like with all this Lilith Fair nostalgia, and I watched the doc, we'll talk about it, but also there's a Dawson's Creek reunion. Like I feel like this is Paula Cole's time.
What an autumnal equinox it was.
Oh. How was TIFF?
Fantastic. I just loved being in Canada, just first of all. The culture, the kindness, all of that. But then TIFF was lovely. I wish I could have been there longer, seen some other premieres, but I was there visiting friends and attending, it was business there for the Lilith doc.
Of course. So I've watched this doc, and there's a lot of Paula Cole in this doc. Like obviously it's Sarah's baby, but you're like first in, right?
Yeah, because we were touring together exclusively in 1995 for her Fumbling Towards Ecstasy tour. I was opening a lot of shows for her, and it was a real like love affair. It was just fantastic. There was zeitgeist. That's when started like walking out as an opener and saying, I want to thank Sarah McLachlan for having me because it's just extremely rare for a woman to be opening for another woman. It doesn't happen. Promoters discourage it. There are quotas on radio stations and so on and so forth. And the audience would just burst into applause like us. There was a feeling of cultural movement. So she wanted to continue that.
It's so bizarre. I have many, Toronto radio veterans on the show, and I won't tell you the name. I don't know. I think at the Lilith Fair doc they allude to the name, but it's a pretty crude name. But they talked about how you couldn't have. Well, I'll say it. Whatever. This is Trump, but they said you can't have beavers back to back. Basically, like these basically no, you couldn't go back to back with woman. And to think about that, it's so misogynist.
Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, there's been enough progress in the last 20 some odd years to see how misogynist it is, but it doesn't mean it's not still happening. It's still happening in different forms and ways, but yeah, oh yeah. There used to be quotas on radio stations. You couldn't play two females back to back on radio, or even two within an hour, and on country radio, even two within the same day.
So, Paul, I'm glad you're here. I'm looking forward to this chat, but I'm gonna like set things up by just letting you know that I very recently chatted with Sophie B. Hawkins, and I'll tell the listenership that it was late August, it was like less than a month ago, but that was episode 1754, and
Wow.
the description I wrote it that you're 1760. I want to get it right. You're 1767, so it's been 13 episodes, but
Wow.
here's the description I wrote at the time. I wrote, Mike chats with singer songwriter Sophie B. Hawkins about, damn, I wish I was your lover, As I Lay Me Down, breaking up with Sony, being a part of the 30th anniversary concert celebration for Bob Dylan, her chats with Howard Stern, her appearance on Community, and her thoughts on Donald J. Trump. So the reason I'm bringing up Sophie is because we talked quite a bit about her Western Canadian tour. And I don't know if she knew it at the time. Maybe you can help fill me in, but you're a part of this tour now, Paula.
Oh, yes, we're touring together as of October 16th. Um, I forget. I think we're in Saskatchewan.
North Battleford, Saskatchewan.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. And then we head out west. So we are literally sharing a Sprinter van together. I will be with Sophie B a lot. It's going to be fantastic. She's a real pal. I love her. I love hanging out with Sophie B.
Well, I only had the hour and 20 minutes with her, but I can tell you I love her too. Okay. It was instant. So,
Yeah.
like, can you give me a little bit about when you and Sophie became friends and how this tour came to be? Because it's quite the Western Canadian road trip you guys are going on.
I met Sophie B. Hawkins in 1995. That's 30 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, right.
Wow. And we were both invited by Melissa Etheridge to be on her VH1 Storytellers episode. So Melissa, kind of pre-Lilith, she was already doing this. She was supporting women um, because we would be so like lonely, like a satellite out in space without coming into contact with other women. I love my guys, trust me, and like my bands have always been men and management men, record company mostly men. So you tend to be the only female, you get used to it. And then we were both invited by Melissa Etheridge to be part of the show. And on the show, she chose Sophie B. Hawkins, Jewel, Joan Osborne, and myself. And each of us would learn a Melissa song, and Melissa would learn one of our songs, and we would perform together. So I met Sophie B then, and I just instantly liked her because her ego was so in check. She'd rather like hang out with the band and play djembe, like be part of the rhythm section rather than, I don't know, hide in the trailer or have the shroud of mystery and silence or vibe that could often come, with other artists. So she was just down to earth and she wasn't there to be in the spotlight. She was just awesome. We just immediately hit it off. We both liked each other from that day on, and then little things would have us bump into each other again. And it's like, let's tour together. Yeah.
Okay, love to hear it. So I'm going to tell the listenership that paulacole.com is a good place to go to get tickets. But, you mentioned October 16, North Battleford, Saskatchewan. So it goes to Alberta, back to Saskatchewan. Then you got some Manitoba in there. You're going to be more Alberta. You got Vancouver. Why is there no date in Toronto for you two?
Oh, I know. It'll happen.
Okay.
It's just calendars and timing and you know, it's been a long time since I've toured Canada. I've never been in these territories where I'm headed now. So we're just one thing at a time. And I'll be rolling out another album next year. It's kind of a historical perspective of my demos from 1989 to 1996, like a 7-year period. And I recorded a lot of music. So I'm releasing my demos album next year. I'll be touring more. I will definitely get back to Toronto, trust me. It's just not in this particular routing.
Right. Well, we have to take care of our Western Canadian friends. They get all the good stuff here. And so I do have a question though. So like, was this going to be a tour for Sophie and then you were added to it, or were you always part of this tour?
Oh no, I was always part of it. Yeah, we're co-headliners.
I
Yeah.
feel like, I don't know, I feel like we buried the lead on that one when I talked to Sophie. So I don't think I
Uh-oh.
realized that Paula Cole was going to be involved. So I think that's
Yeah.
rad that you two are going to be together taking on these. Like some of them are small. I mean, Vancouver's a big city, but these are smaller outlets out west. I think that's cool.
The more remote you get, the more uh, appreciative the audience. I always see that. And you make fans for life when you bother to drive out of your way and hit these tertiary markets, right? So, um, yeah, so music lives in the hearts. It just continues. That happened with Duke Ellington. He took his band out and he would hit tiny markets and made fans for life. And I saw that even when in 19, let's see, Christmas of 1997. I performed for the troops with the USO, and I flew out to the Persian Gulf, and I performed like on an aircraft carrier and a naval destroyer, and out in the Shakies in a tent with no PA, and there's like sand stabbing us, and you're singing as loud as you can because there's no microphone. So, like the best audiences were the most dangerous places. It was the Shakey's, and it wasn't the naval base. It was in Bahrain. It was the
Right.
Shakey's. So you just see that the farther you go, the harder you sacrifice, because you're building community. Essentially, you want to love the people who come, take the time out of their lives to see you.
And people in Prince Albert or Fort Saskatchewan, they deserve some great music, and they're going to get great music with Sophie B. Hawkins and Paula Cole.
Yeah,
Although I'm
totally.
being told now, apparently, I said only one big city, Vancouver. Apparently, Winnipeg and Calgary are rather big cities as well. So my apologies to my friends in
Oh
Winnipeg
yeah.
and Calgary. So,
Yeah.
so when I just told the listeners, Paula Cole making her Toronto Mike debut, welcome to the family, Paula.
Thank you. Glad to be part.
I hope Sophie. I want to say Sophie and I we really hit it off. I really hope she listens to. She told me I was handsome, so no pressure, Paula. But it was like I took this sound clip out. I've been using it. Like it's Sophie B. Hawkins telling my listeners I'm very handsome. So it's like a highlight of my life here. But
Oh, for sure.
okay, well, there you go. I'm going to add that to it. So no
You're
pressure.
fishing for compliments.
No pressure, Paula. Okay, delete. No, okay. Tyler just said, because yes, I do want to talk a little bit about where have all the cowboys gone. And as you can imagine, I have a question or two, but I don't want to wait. But Tyler wrote in to say he first heard you singing with Peter Gabriel and that you did this. He says, you did a beautiful job with the Kate Bush part on Don't Give Up. And then I kept getting notes. Dr. Alfred Necessiter, I don't think that's a real name, but Dr. Alfred was telling me that he absolutely loved you on Peter Gabriel's Secret World Tour. So would you mind, maybe before we get into your Grammy nominated solo efforts, would you mind sharing a little bit about how you came in to be involved with Peter Gabriel's Secret World Tour back in 93 and 94?
Sure. And you are handsome.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but
I
you're
fished and
welcome.
I finally caught a
You're
big fish.
fishing. So Peter Gabriel, well, um, so yeah, I feel like I have to preface everything. That's a big story, but
Sure.
I got signed to a boutique label called Imago. And they had Amy Mann and they had Henry Rollins, like really kind of left of center. And I got signed to this label. I was making my record, my first album with Kevin Killen, and it was going fantastically, but they paused. They didn't release it. I was sitting on an unreleased album, and Kevin Killen played it for David Rhodes, the guitar player of, he's like Peter Gabriel's right-hand man. He's the musical director and his best mate. So David Rhodes loved it, and he played it for Peter. Peter was out on tour on the Secret World Live. So this was what? This was 93, 92, 93. And Sinead O'Connor was singing with him. Sinead and Peter were actually dating, and she was touring with him. I actually saw that tour, and oh, I love her so much. There's just no words even how much I love her. She sounded amazing. But she left the tour right before they were to record. And David Rhodes played my unreleased album. And Peter loved it. And he called my analog reel-to-reel cassette recorder machine and just in his beautiful British accent asked me to join the tour, just point blank if I could. So, of course, I was a huge Gabriel head. I loved his music and I loved that band. I mean, the musicians, Manu Katché and Tony Levin. I mean, Tony Levin played with John Lennon on Double Fantasy. He's just a legend unto himself. But I love the band, and it was a real honor. So, yes, on Halloween of 1993, I flew to Mannheim, Germany. I had one rehearsal, like kind of half. We didn't even run all the songs. It was just a sound check. And the first song we did was Don't Give Up, like no pressure. He just wanted to hear me.
Right.
And there's this big moment. I'm really getting tangential here, but there's this moment, if you all know the song. Because, let's see, there's at the end, I, because I believe there's a place. And then there's this music in 6/8. There's a place where we belong. And I have to do that pickup. I have to have the internal time feel of 6/4. Because it's like this, I'm getting technical here, but for all you musos, and I know you Gabriel heads are musos, like you have to be internalizing the time of the 6 and the 4, because it's moving out of this kind of 6 pattern, moving into the 4/4. Don't give up, don't give up, don't give up in the 4/4. So I got it, because I have good time. And he walked over to me and he said, "You're the only singer besides Willie Nelson who got that right."
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. Yeah. And it's just because I love the music so much. I get it. I get it. Um, so and then that night I was thrown out in front of 16,000 Germans in Mannheim, Germany. And literally, like a few days later, we recorded the video. So I'm very young, I'm very fresh on the tour. during the filming of the live video, which is out there. And I look shy. I'm holding my arms down on the whole time. I'm just pretty shy, but it was an amazing experience. I got to see the world. It was very much a man's, bubble, being with all these Brits. And there were three other women, but there were over 64. I think there were 64 men. So it was like a very patriarchal little capsule. And I was very alone in it, but it was amazing. And I saw the world. I was touring Europe. We went to British Hong Kong. We went to Japan, and I lived inside that music, and I loved that music. And I learned from my musical idol, Peter. I learned a lot. I also learned that I didn't want to be a background singer. I wanted to go back to the States and get to my own career.
It's funny because your Lilith Fair colleague, Cheryl Crow, was a background singer.
I
And then,
think of her. Yeah.
so similarly, she realized she was no background singer. She was a foreground singer. Is that what you call it?
Yes.
But I will say, Paul, it's like one quick note. First of all, I like that you said the word tangential because sometimes I think I really should call this podcast Tangential Mike. Like, it's like, I love the tangents. So don't be shy to go on any tangents.
Totally, me too. I think in the depths, the nadirs of the tangents, it's like the juiciest. Those are the best bits.
100%. See, you get it. Now, I just recently watched you accept an award. I think it was called She Rocks.
Hmm.
And in the middle of your acceptance speech, which was inspiring as heck, and I hope we touch on it later, but you start singing, and I was listening to you. So this is 2025. You're accepting an award. You break into song. You just broke into song with me right now. There's the sign of a beautiful singer when you can just break into song in the middle of an acceptance speech, and it sounds amazing. You have a beautiful voice, Paula Cole.
Oh, roar, 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 roar.
Wait, was that Scooby Doo? What was that? No.
I don't know. That's roll a roll, roll a roll.
So you sound beautiful. Now, you mentioned this album. So I understand. Is it Imago? Is that how do you say the record label's name?
Oh, Imago, my former
Imago.
record label. Yeah.
So this album, was it ever released? Like I did read a bit about Harbinger, right? Like it
Yes,
was
that was Harbinger.
so
Yes.
like I know that the label folds, but they did eventually release that first album of yours, right?
Yes. They released it before they folded. They folded mid-release, right, prior to my second single. And then, like, unbeknownst to me, they sell me to like chattel to Warner Brothers, and I'm stuck there, and I'm kind of perpetually stuck with Imago attached to me. And that's the music business. It's sharecropper deals, like, and being, having to pay back 90s budget debt with increasingly small, monetization amounts because of streaming. So yeah, it's just, I feel like I'm perpetually bounded to this, and I could really go down a dark rabbit hole about that. It's like very, very depressing to me, and I like try to work on myself, right? You imagine yourself marooned on an island with some of your nemesis in life. Well, Terry Ellis of Imago would definitely be one, and how do I overcome that, and how do I live positively? But I feel like because other record labels they forgive debt, they call it, I'm a legacy artist, so any artist prior to year 2000, all the other majors they forgive that, but not him. Like I'm signed to this one man with a PO box in New York. Yeah, it's so fucked up. And sorry, can I say that?
No, I was gonna say that sounds fucked up.
It's so fucked up. And I've had lawyers look at it and they just say, I don't think we can do anything about this. So it's hard. And I don't know, unless like I have, I don't know. It's like really hard to talk about. Oh, so yeah, it's one of my things. And I just have to I have to let it go. I have to let that go because um, this is the same man that like shows up on the Bob Dylan Documentary, Don't Look Back, when he's in the dressing room and he's the asshole with the glasses who asks, like, says, "What's in it for me?" That's Terry Ellis. Terry Ellis is the one. They're Pat Benatar, he signed Pat Benatar, he signed Blondie, and they all struggled financially, like just with his fingers all up in that their business. There's an article I found. Pat Benatar like slapped him across the face. That makes me so happy.
Well, I'm sorry that you have to endure this because you're the artist, and I feel like you were so young in your career, and maybe you at that point when you're not a name yet, you're not Paula Cole, and Paula Cole we know today, you might sign bad deals. I don't know if you had.
Oh yeah. I mean, we all were. Unless you have amazing management. Amy Mann, she successfully sued Terry, and Henry Rollins successfully sued Terry. And then as soon as she got away from Terry, she put out her second solo album called I'm with Stupid. Now, who do you think that's about?
Well, so speaking of second album, so when you do release your breakthrough album, This Fire, which we're going to spend some time talking about a couple of rather massive hit singles that come off this one, like does this guy still get he gets money from
Oh yeah.
recording? So that
Yeah.
even though this label folded shortly after releasing Harbinger, then you put out This Fire, which has, like I said, monster hits. We got to talk about Dawson's Creek and everything. He gets a cut of that. He gets slices of that pie.
Yeah, anytime the original master is used. Yeah.
Makes me mad. Like I'm mad now on
Mhm.
your behalf.
Thank you. I appreciate your madness.
I've got a lot of rage in me, and it's all aimed at this gentleman. Okay, sorry to hear this, but
No, no, I don't want to bring us down like that. But you asked about Imago. So Imago to me is like, oh, that's a little wound. And I try. So that's like partly what incentivized me to create my own label because I'm old enough that I was in the game of major labels. Getting signed to a major label was like climbing a Mount Everest or something. You felt like you made it 'cause you got a deal. Oh, you got signed. But then, time moves on, the paradigm shifts. It's much freer to be independent. And those of us who had those major labels, you know, had us signed, like it's kind of like almost like a black tar kind of holding you back. It's hard to get those masters back. It's really hard. So I'm so glad to be independent as of 2013. And I've been releasing my own catalog um, on my own label because I'm prolific. I'm in it for music. I'm not interested in selling a perfume or something or acting. I want to be writing music. I love music, and I don't want my trauma to prevent me from continuing to make beautiful music and touring with my musicians. And so it's like, what do? I create my own label, and then I can prolifically express what I need to express.
what's the name of your label?
675 Records.
Is this an area code?
It's an address.
An address. Okay. Because I was thinking, where's that area code 675? That's an address. Okay. Okay. Reminds me of my buddy Custom, Canadian, who sadly no longer with us. He died far too young, but he signed to a label that folded right away, and it really messed him up. And he had a great song on his debut album, Fast, which was called 120. And I was chatting with him, like, what's 120? He goes, oh, that was the address of his loft he was living in, was 120. So there you go. Naming your stuff after the number of your home or your address.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We call our home 675. So
675. Okay, I'm taking notes here. So let's talk about some happier things, which maybe if you don't mind, because the first time I think most of us hear your voice, if you weren't, into Peter, if you weren't a Gabriel head, although what's wrong with you if you're not? Come on, what a talented musician. But can you tell me a little bit about where have all the cowboys gone? What is that about? And maybe what that's like when it, cracks the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100.
Where Have All the Cowboys Gone was something I wrote. Let's see. I was thinking about XTC, the British band, and I loved their humor and their wit. I loved how Andrew Partridge just wrote these kind of wry, that's WRY, wry lyrics and with double entendre and just fun and funny and interesting. And I thought, that's so cool. And it doesn't happen a lot from a woman's perspective. that was kind of my like socio-political philosophical thinking on it. And I went home kind of in meditation of that thought, and then it literally just spilled out on the page, "Where have all the cowboys gone?" And it was lyrics first. And then the melody came, and then I found my chords and the beat. Like I wrote this in probably 92. I was living in San Francisco above a gas station in a loft with roommates. It was a very impoverished part of my life, but I was fully dedicated to music. Like I set up a home studio. I was becoming my own producer. I was with Mark Hutchins, who also passed too young and like helped form me as a producer. We were just recording every day. It was like my mission to write and record. It was such a prolific time, and we recorded "Where Have All the Cowboys Gone" as a rumba. Like, so imagine this, like bum ba bum 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 ba bum bum bum. Where have all the cowboys gone? Ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-bum, bum, right? And nobody liked it. Nobody liked it. It just got totally overlooked by management, record company, and um, put out my first album, Harbinger, toured with Peter. It's time to make a second album. And I have like a lot of catalog and I'm still writing, but I thought, that was a good song. And the producer in me thought, what if I put like more like a Ringo Starr kind of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band reprised. If you listen to the full album, you'll hear like Paul count one, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, catch, boom, boom, catch, boom, catch. Beautiful Ringo groove. So we actually sampled Ringo on the demo and looped it and just, which Jay plays the shit out of. Jay Bellerose, my drummer since I was 19, and now he plays with like T-Bone Burnett and tours with Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. He's such a beautiful drummer. And we found each other really young, but so he plays the shit out of that, and I just had ideas about it. I thought no bass. I wanted to sound great coming out of a shitty transistor radio. So it was like I was producing it for radio in my head, not weighing down bass, which struggles to come out of small speakers. Fabulous, kind of more accessible groove. And then the catchy BVs, added a bridge. Everyone can kind of sing along to that. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like doing a happy dance. All of a sudden, everyone is like in love with the song. So it just needed like fresh vision, needed fresh production.
And what's that like when you have a hit on your hands? I can't imagine having a hit.
Oh, what a trip. What a trip to be walking down the streets of West Village, New York City, and hearing cowboys like come out like somebody's Walkman speakers, which weren't very good because they were bleeding like hell, and I knew that they were listening to my song, or like be in a car and hearing the car next to me, which was I remember I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was next to a convertible, and my song's on their radio. Like, wow. It was a trip. And it was also a trip that, it got misinterpreted. All the fundamentalists out there believing I was like a Tammy Wynette pining for my traditional paradigm with my man. And that was a trip. And when it was meant to be irony, and a gender role examination in a pop tune, a catchy little pop tune. There's melancholy and there's irony. And so it was lost on some and it was understood by some. It was more complicated than I think people gave credit for. So, uh, and it stands the test of time well, I think. Like Jay's on it, sounds so beautiful. His groove is magnificent. And I just don't think anything sounds like it, that track.
And Paula, they say satire is dead. I'm thinking now, I'm a big Nirvana fan, and I'm thinking now they had a song on In Utero called Rape Me. And, those who want to misinterpret song lyrics will misinterpret song lyrics. Like, it's sometimes it's almost intentional, I think. Satire is dead.
Yeah. Born in the USA.
Yeah,
Come
that's a
on.
great example. That's a great
Come
example.
on. Yeah.
I think Reagan
Look,
used it as a like a campaign song, right?
I know. Incredible.
And I think it's like willful ignorance, and it. I mean, I've noticed now that this is 30 years ago. We're going back 30 years. Today, it's like okay, I feel like nobody takes the time to actually analyze anything anymore.
I
That's a
guess
big that's a big generalization, but
they ask AI, which I do a lot. I have conversations with AI because I'm curious. I like learning, but
aren't you worried AI is going to tell you something that's not true?
oh, of course.
So then you
Of
have to get you
course.
get it from AI, but then you have to go like do your own sourcing to make sure it's valid. It's
Totally.
okay. So it's like a loop or whatever. But there's another big single that's going to come off this fire. It's a great album, but there's another massive song I've got a question about, as you can imagine. But you had another hit on your hand because I Don't Want to Wait was a big hit for you.
Yeah, it was the follow-up. We didn't know if we should follow up with Me, the song Me, or I Don't Want to Wait. But some alternative stations had been playing Me already, so we decided to release I Don't Want to Wait. And we did a video, which barely anybody used because I was dressed up in all these crazy costumes. I didn't even look like myself. Like I'm in the Mozart era with a big white powdered wig, and then I'm a flapper, and it's all over the place. But it's also kind of a beautiful little mini movie. Anyway, but the song, like, ooh, just like went up the charts. It was number one on adult contemporary pop or alternative. I can't remember. Adult, alternative, contemporary, whatever. It was number one
It
there, and
was
it was
it
like,
seemed to be everywhere. It's worth noting though,
yeah.
just because you mentioned Me really quickly, is that back then you couldn't make the Billboard Hot 100 unless you released a song as a single. Like this is what
Mhm.
hurt songs like You Can't Touch This, for example. Like why was that not number one? Well, because it was ineligible because it wasn't released as a single. And that seems to be the case with Me, right? You never did release Me as a officially as a single, right?
Well, we released a video as a third song, but and it was more moderate in its success. But you're right, it had already had airplay. I like that video a lot. It's like just full of color. I'm in color drenched rooms and I'm wearing like it goes from red to purple. So I start in a red dress in a totally red painted room. And then I reveal like a flower no, it was a red basket full of oranges. And the camera zooms in on the orange and then pans out and I'm in an orange room in an orange dress. It was very cool. And then it zooms in on my yellow flower and then pans out and I'm in a yellow room in a yellow dress. I loved the video to me. Jay's in it and Kevin Barry, my guitar player, and Mark Brown, my bassist. They were all in it too. And they painted a whole house, colors of the rainbow rooms. And that video was beautiful. But for I Don't Want to Wait, I think because we took everyone off guard releasing that as the second single, it just leapt up the charts and it became like a beloved. It's highly melodic. You can't not sing along, and it's an earworm, and I don't know. That song is like the song of my life. I wrote that about my family. I wrote it about my grandfather who was in World War II in the Battle of Okinawa, came back with like shrapnel in his legs, bombed in the legs, PTSD, although we didn't have that word. We were like, don't touch grandpa, don't tickle grandpa. He gets surprised and angry. And then it's all like looking at your family and my grandparents' relationship, which was very fraught, which then affects the next generation, my parents, and it makes you think about, well, how do I want to live my life differently? What do I want to do? I want to be as awake and mindful as possible with my opportunity here on earth. And so it's kind of all in that song, and it's highly melodic. It just touches people. So Kevin Williamson was creating this.
You knew
This,
I was going there next.
yeah, he was creating this teen drama show, and my songs had been used for pilots, and nothing comes out of it. Like Where Have All the Cowboys was used for some pilot. I think Me was used for some pilot. Nothing.
Right.
Like, and then, Kevin Williamson, he wanted to talk to me on the phone, and he was really a fan and really believed in it, and he really wanted this song. So I just said, okay, let's give it a shot. Bang. Like the show usurps this me. It just usurped me. It's huge.
I know I was watching, and I was this week on social media. I was watching just some clips about this reunion they just had.
I know. For James Vanderbeek, who's suffering from colon cancer and is really looking at his mortality, and he has many children and an incredibly supportive wife. And when I listen to him on his socials, what a well-spoken, kind man. What an evolved human being. Oh my God, James Vanderbeek for president, please. What a beautiful soul. And same person I met all those years ago when I went down to wherever it was in South Carolina when we did some promo together. What a beautiful human being. So there was support from the original cast, and they gathered together on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday or Monday?
So
Monday.
it was either Monday or Tuesday because I just saw that at the end of it, obviously, like we're all thinking of James couldn't be there because he's recovering, and I saw that video he submitted, and I'm just hoping for the best because I heard he's a good dude, so I'm hoping for the best for James. Also, the name of my firstborn, I like the name James, but I
Mm.
digress. But everybody at the end of this reunion, they all had a sing along, of course, in the cast. What song are they all going to sing? Of course, I Don't Want to Wait. Because now when I hear the opening of I Don't Want to Wait, I do think of Dawson's Creek. Like the two are intertwined for all of eternity.
Right. And so it goes. Yes. Yep.
It's,
There are other usages out there, but that's what lives in people's hearts. And
if
that's
you want to
great.
parody Dawson's Creek, which, for a time now, of course, maybe less so in 2025, but if you're going to do a Dawson's Creek parody, you got to license I Don't Want to Wait. Like you need that song to
I
parody
know.
Dawson's Creek.
I know. And I know it bothered poor James for a while. Like he felt like the song was following him everywhere.
Well, there's worse songs to be followed by.
That's true. Yeah. I
And
know.
there's
It was
worse
very
shows for
moving.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I was going to say there's worse shows for you to be tied to, right? There's a lot of bad teenage shows like that. And Dawson's Creek, in my opinion, okay, I think Dawson's Creek is, the best teen drama this side of Degrassi.
It's great. And look at the actors that came out of it. I mean, look at Michelle Williams. What a beautiful soul.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they're all up there singing my song. It's very moving.
Very
Yeah.
moving. So I mentioned every moment. So I got a little clip I want to just play and ask you what you thought of this and if you're even aware of it. I don't know. I'm going to get to that real quick. But I'm just reminded Toronto band Bare Naked Ladies. I had a good chat here in this basement studio. I had a good chat with the drummer, and we were talking about how they were asked to do a song for this new show. It was going to be called Big Bang Theory. And the drummer said to me, he was at the cottage and he fought against coming home from the cottage to record this song for this show because he said so many times they were tied to shows that just were pilots and never got picked up. There's no way this is going to be a big show. It ended up being the biggest sitcom in the history of the world. Yeah. Big Bang Theory's Bare Naked Ladies theme song. So
Oh my God.
he's glad he made the drive from the cottage to record it.
There you go. Good on him.
Shout out to Tyler Stewart if he's listening. So I like this mashup artist. We're going back now, but this mashup artist's name is Girl Talk. It's actually a guy named Greg Gillis, I believe. But are you aware of your role in one of the great Girl Talk songs?
No, not at all. I don't know girl talk.
So this
But
is, go ahead.
I'm a hermit. Let's just face it.
Well, we're going
I
back
don't, I
15
don't know
years or
these
so.
things.
Can I
Yeah,
play? Can I play 30 seconds?
sure.
This is a song by Girl Talk that I quite like called "What's It All About." So I'm just going to play 30 seconds for you. You should hear this.
Looking for a highlight, mine's been blinded.
Open up your morning light and say a little prayer for right. You know that if we are to stay alive and see the peace in everything.
I grew up on the crime side, the New York Times side. Staying alive was no job, had second hands. Moms bounced on old men, so then we moved to Shaolin Land. A young youth, you're rocking the go-to.
All right, that's a taste, but that's a 20 9-second excerpt from What's It All About, and I just wondered if you were aware.
No, I'm not aware. When was this song?
Well,
When did
15.
this song?
So this is all illegal art. He calls it illegal art in that he doesn't charge for the music, but he's not. I don't think you or your the guy who's got you in his grip there. I don't think anybody receives money on this. So just that it's very well. I mean, I have all of his stuff because I just think these mashups are amazing, and he's a very talented guy. But in this song, there's a prominent role for Paula Cole. So I figured if I ever get Paula Cole on the
Definitely.
line, I'm going to play it and ask her
Oh
if
my
she's aware.
God. And it's a dude and he calls
Yeah,
himself Girl Talk.
yeah. So if you ever on YouTube, if you can, and if, by the way, I would say this to the listenership too, that okay, we're going back, I don't know, 15 years maybe, but if you listen to some girl talk, like I played so much girl talk back when I had one of those cubicle office jobs. Like I feel like I was just playing girl talk and I just loved it. And that's whether you didn't get compensated, it's illegal art, but your contribution to one of the great songs that Girl Talk put together.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's cool. You're
Loved it.
rolling. That's
Thank you
cool.
for
And that's
putting it on my radar.
and what it does now when I hear songs in the wild that are mashed up by girl talk, my brain starts to sort of go into the mashup. So like it even for I mentioned Nirvana, but if I hear Smells Like Teen Spirit, I can hear then I lead into a Salt and Pepper song. I think it's Push It that gets mashed with it. Anyway, this is how my brain has been rewired by girl
Yeah.
talk. But
No, and the song gets like reemployed. There's this band called They, and they released a song called Dante's Creek, and they're like a hip hop duo. But he has a beautiful singing voice, and he sings part of the chorus of I Don't Want to Wait. And there's another hip hop artist, Jamila Woods, who also used I Don't Want to Wait in one of her songs. So I love that it's genre crossing because I'm a genre crosser.
good. I like it too when the genres smash into each other. Shout out
Yeah.
to Anthrax and Public Enemy for Bring the Noise.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I realize now you're very easy to talk to, and I know you don't have all day for me. So I'm just before on our way because I'm going to ask you a couple of Lilith Fair questions, just because I just
Okay.
saw this documentary. But I took a note, and you can tell me this is true. Is it possible that you, Paula Cole, are the first woman ever to be nominated for Producer of the Year at the Grammys?
Yes, that's true.
1998.
I know.
That's
I know.
incredible.
And then when that happened, like they announced the nominations that year, and I was nominated for a lot, 7. And Producer of the Year wasn't even announced publicly. It came later because it's kind of done prior to the televised ceremony. Someone came up to me and said, "You were nominated for Producer of the Year. That's the first time a woman's been nominated." Well, of course, it made me first realize that's why it was so difficult. That's
Right.
why oh, I get it. That's why it was so difficult. People didn't, I just naively like went about my business. I was like Chauncey Gardner in that vintage movie Being There. You've got to see it if you haven't. I was kind of sheltered. I grew up on an island off of Massachusetts. I grew up in a musical family. I never even watched the Grammys before I was on it.
Wow.
So like I just was in my own brain and wanting to self-produce because I knew I could do it. Of course I could. And I was tired of explaining my vision to men who would like then reinterpret it. I just wanted to do it. And I had to really prove myself. I had to come in under budget constantly, um, just to just to be able to be given the reins to produce my own work. And I even compose with production in mind. So that was the first thought. Oh my God, that's why it was so difficult. And then, that's the one I'm most proud of. That's the one I'm most proud of is the producer nomination. It still has not been won by a female.
In 2025. That's incredible too. And you talk about how you never watched the Grammys, you had no idea that it had never been won by a woman. That's sort of like Roger Bannister running the mile in the 4-minute mile back in 54, right? Like it was a psychological like I think they told him he was running. I can't remember something. He thought he was running a shorter distance or something. Like there was something he didn't know he was running a mile, and therefore he did it in 4 minutes, which had never been done before. But I feel like you were ignorant to the fact that
Yes.
the industry was sort of like against women producers.
Yes. It just was difficult. Like it was
Of
just
course, because
like I would actually interview engineers. I looked at the profiles and all the credits of engineers because I needed to work with an engineer. And they all, after the meeting, I found out they assumed that I was interviewing them to be a producer, except one, Roger Moutinho, who was just the loveliest soul. And so I worked with him. Yeah.
And you did win Best New Artist at that very same Grammy Awards.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. 1 out of 7. Thank goodness.
That's no Susan Lucci, okay? You got your award there. So, okay, where's the Grammy right now?
Oh, it's a bookend. I don't know if you can see it. It's up on my shelf with some other
Oh, cool.
things.
I just want to make sure it's on display because that's pretty cool.
Well, I have mixed feelings about that. I just packed up some of my other awards thinking like this is bullshit. It's all bullshit in a way. It just really is. It's all
Well, it's
bullshit.
two things. One is absolutely it's all bullshit, but on the other side, you should be proud of your accomplishments. So I can take both sides of that coin.
It makes a good bookend. I like books.
Yeah, it's a good bookend. Okay, here's my. I feel like The Simpsons. Well, Public Enemy had a lyric. Who gives a fuck about a goddamn Grammy? That was a big Public Enemy lyric. So, and I don't think they ever won a Grammy, to be honest. And
Right. And I don't think the Beatles did for at
for a
least
long time.
right, long
Right.
time.
So, and even my own hero Neil Young. I don't think he won
Oh.
his fair share of Grammys either.
Oh,
So.
has he never won a Grammy?
He
See,
might have won something like you know what they do? They make it up to you when you're an older artist and you put
yes,
something out and then
yes,
like,
yes,
oh, we're sorry. When you're in your prime, we missed you, but here you go.
yes.
So okay.
Yeah, some heritage award, something. Yeah.
So couple of just Lilith Fair. Just again, thank you for your time today.
Oh, my pleasure. And it's really fun talking to you.
Well, when you and Sophie B are playing a Toronto show at some point, I want to meet you guys. Like, what I want a photo with Sophie B. Hawkins and Paula Cole.
Coffee. We'll do coffee.
Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Are you
All
kidding
right.
me? I love coffee.
You, me, and
Absolutely.
Sophie B.
Yeah.
It's a
That
song.
you know what? That's a reality show. Okay, you, me, and Sophie B. And you could write
Yeah.
the right. That'll be bigger than Big Bang Theory and Dawson's Creek. So I saw you at TIFF, and you're with Sarah. So
Mm.
what is your relation? So fellow Canuck, we love the Canadians on this show. Sarah McLaughlin, a proud Canadian. What is your relationship like with Sarah as you kind of go through this nostalgic revisiting of Lilith Fair with this documentary?
I love that she's back in my life and we're texting again. I love her and I'm really proud of her. Just she's been through a lot, and I know like she's a private person, and it's just a lot of work right now. And she's coming up against cancel culture and freedom of speech issues in the United States. So I was at TIFF for the world premiere of Lilith, and that was fantastic. We saw each other on the red carpet, and we were just smashing into a hug. Like, oh my God. So happy to see each other because we toured together for 4 years and we kind of, I was part of the inception of it all. From 95 to 98, we toured and
Right.
just so grateful to be reunited and to look at our lives up on the big screen. I was just crying through it. It was very moving, very, very moving. And I know, you get older and it's hard to like be flying every day and going to a new market and singing. She's got a lot of heavy lifting right now, and I admire her work ethic and I really admire her grace as she's kind of withstanding some political winds in the States. And I just love her. I just love her. And I'm wishing her everything good.
So you mentioned free speech. Just last night, at least it was aired last night. I don't know what time they record these things, probably in the afternoon. But just yesterday, Jimmy Kimmel returned to
Yes.
the airwaves, and although I watched the 5 minute monologue off the top, so I haven't seen anything beyond that. But I understand Sarah was the guest.
Yes, I just watched it actually before we spoke. She performed alone at the piano. It's really simple and gorgeous. She did a beautiful job singing Better Broken, her single. It's gorgeous. But I understand she also talked about free speech in her little moment on the air, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it on it'll be out there somewhere. I have to do a deeper dive, but already like there's backlash and haters talking about it and unfollowing that kind of crap. But I'm really, really proud of her. I'm really proud of her. She continues to do it. You know, she had Planned Parenthood in the village at Lilith Fair in Texas, wanted her to take that all down, didn't want any mentioning of Planned Parenthood. And of course, Joan Osborne goes up to perform wearing Planned Parenthood Texas t-shirts. Her whole band was wearing them. So I just, she continues to be graceful about it, and I'm just really, really happy that the world can see my part and see who I am and remember who I am.
Are you kidding me? I watched it and I'm like, oh, next to Sarah, I feel like the biggest star of this documentary series is Paula Cole.
Oh,
No, Sarah won. You're right there. And you mentioned you were a featured performer when that mini tour in '96, that Lilith Fair mini tour, and then you're a headliner for '97 and '98, and a big part of this doc. But so I just say kudos to you for that. But then I do have a question about Lilith Fair and the state of the world in 2025 because Associated Press talked to Sarah because Sarah's got a new album coming out, so she's doing a lot of press. She's got she's having a moment. You're having a moment. You got the Dawson's Creek reunion and everything. But Associated Press asks Sarah what it would take to revive Lilith Fair in 2025, and so a couple things. One is in the doc, Sarah correctly points out there was such an attempt in 2010, I think, and it failed. So in 2010, there was an attempt to revive Lilith Fair. Were you a part of that?
no, I was not.
Well, that's why it failed, Paula.
Oh, no. They asked me to, but the timing wasn't right for me, and I declined. But I think it just wasn't the right time, whatever it was. And it feels different now, doesn't it? It feels like it is the right time. However, there's a lot of pressure on Sarah. She's just but one woman. It's like when I saw and performed for the Dalai Lama, he was really late because he needed a nap. And the first thing he said was, I'm just an old man and I need to sleep. And and Sarah says, like, as much as I would love to do it, I'm 57 years old and it's a lot of work and it's very tiring. And so she's just in a different place in her life. It's entirely up to her. But she thinks, and I agree, like it should be the younger artists piloting that, right?
No, I got the exact quote, and you're exactly right. But she said, so they asked her if it could have. They asked Sarah if it could exist in 2025, Lilith Fair, and Sarah said, "quote I think it could. I think it would be very dangerous. I think we'd have a target on our backs, and I think it would need to look different. It would need to be championed by someone who is coming up today. It needs some youthful energy." So that speaks to your point. She's 57. You need a fresh face. But I want to just ask you about this. The target. This day and age, we watch things closely because your president was talking about annexing our country here, our sovereign nation of Canada, and that got our attention. I'll tell you, that got my attention. I try to buy it. I don't try to buy. I try to avoid buying anything made in the USA right now because we don't take this 51st state talk lightly. Like our sovereignty is everything, and we're not for sale, and we're not. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here.
Amen. Yeah.
But you'll know you're coming to Western Canada. I hope the vibes are the same out there. But it's this
I think
idea
they will
that
be.
I hope
think
so.
they will be. And I only want to tour in Canada this year.
Wow. Is that
Yeah.
so? I guess I'm wondering how you're holding up. You're such like you mentioned that Planned Parenthood Texas situation that Joan Osborne wore those T-shirts and then went to bat for it on. That's in the documentary. And Planned Parenthood and in its existence and all these important issues, particularly with regards to women. Like, how is it being a progressive American in 2025 when you have to watch what's happening in your own backyard?
I live in Massachusetts, which is a blue state. We overwhelmingly voted for Kamala Harris. We have a gay female governor, Maura Healey. We have incredible education, and I feel safe in my state. But, ICE has come in to communities very close by and steal people, kidnap them, and then deport them. He's building the National Guard, he's building ICE, whatever federal programs he has his fingers in, he's building in order to construct this fucked up autocratic, increasingly autocratic reality. And we have to be mindful of history, which we're fairly dumb. We're fairly dumb, and our reading and math scores continue to plummet. And he said himself, I love the poorly educated. So if we're plummeting educationally, we won't be informed citizens, and we certainly won't be remembering history. And this has all of the signs of a repeated history that we all would love to see permanently behind us. But of course, I'm frightened and horrified. This is not the country that my grandfather got bombed in the legs for. This is not the country that my parents, the silent generation, had a wonderful education. They had free education. My father was paid to go to college. Now middle-class families are 6 figures in debt trying to get their kids into college. It's changing rapidly. And there's an increasing division of uber wealth and everyone else. The middle class is disappearing. That's what's really happening, is the plutocracy that's happening, all the oligarchy that's happening. That's massive division. And that's what they don't want us to focus on that. They'd rather focus on more sensational headlines. But economically, what's happening is that's the true division. They're making kings. It's a few individuals that own the media outlets, the ones that I use, the ones that everybody use. It's Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk owning all the media, So, and the second richest, Bernie Sanders talks about this. I can't remember the second richest man, but he owns Paramount, which owns many, many other media outlets, CBS, I think. So if you control the media and you have all the wealth, you can kind of do a lot, And it's, if you're immoral and you just want more money and power, it's just very frightening. So yeah, of course, I'm trying to invest internationally. I want to be outside of America more often. I want to remind myself what healthy societies feel like and look like. I want options for my own citizenship. I'm alarmed. I'm not going to be afraid, fuckers. I'm not going to. They're not going to do that. But there's a lot of us. There's a lot of blue states that voted for a brown woman. Beautiful, outspoken, intelligent Kamala Harris, and it'll be harder than they want it to be.
Paula, I really appreciate the candor from you and this conversation. I'm so glad I got to meet you.
I'm so glad I got to meet you too. And thanks for the tangents.
I love the tangents.
Juicy bits.
So we'll say goodbye now, but I will say that everybody in the western part of this wonderful country of Canada should go to paulacole.com, because I'm going to name check these wonderful places: North Battleford, Camrose, Fort Saskatchewan, Prince Albert, Brandon, Manitoba, home of the Wheat Kings, Winnipeg, St. Albert, Alberta, Red Deer, of course, home of Ron McLean, Calgary, Cowtown, Vancouver, of course, Van City, future home of FOTM Stephanie Wilkinson, Victoria, that's where what was it? There's a great statue in Victoria for Terry Fox, one of my heroes. He sadly he passed away in his early 20s from cancer, but he was going to run a marathon a day on one leg to raise money to fight cancer in the early 80s, and I was just the right age, and I just couldn't believe this guy was doing it, and he had to cut it short because the cancer returned, and then he passed away. But I ran just 2 weeks ago We run every September for Terry, and we raise money. And listeners of this program raise $5,000 for the Terry Fox Foundation.
Oh, congratulations.
So you're closing in Victoria, but at some point when you find your way to Toronto, we're going to meet for coffee. Thank you, Paula Cole.
Thank you, too. Thank you, everybody.